Well, it's summertime, and that means it's time for another Steven Spielberg cliffhanger. In years past, we've had Raiders of the Lost Ark and Indiana Jones and E.T. and Poltergeist, and now we have the Goonies, which is sort of parts of all of those movies all rolled up together. The movie starts with a bunch of kids, kind of like the kids in E.T., and they discover a buried treasure map up in the attic of their house. Lost Ark, the next scene will probably look familiar. Remember when Indiana Jones was trying to get the buried treasure, but the boulder was going to roll down on top of him and the spikes were going to skewer him? Spielberg uses some of the same tricks again in Goonies. Kids are called the Goonies is because they're a little bit of misfits compared to the average kids on the block. There's the kid who's a little too smart, the kid who's a little too fat, the Asian kid who's always inventing strange things, and yet as friends they can stick together and find the buried treasure. So that's nice. I like the Goonies. I didn't like it quite as much as E.T. though, because it doesn't have that extra spirit and soul and heart that E.T. had that really made that film kind of glow. So I give the Goonies 3 stars, and I'm Roger Ebert. Insignificance asks us to believe that during one steamy night in a New York hotel room in 1954, 4 of the most famous people in the 20th century all found their paths crossing. The movie is about, although it doesn't mention them by name, Joe DiMaggio, Senator Joe McCarthy, Professor Albert Einstein, and Marilyn Monroe. And in this scene, Tony Curtis plays Joe McCarthy, and Michael Emile is Professor Einstein.
That's the same threat to democracy we're asking you to help us fight now.
World War II had very little to do with communism.
Had very little to... Are you kidding? Whole war was based on a Soviet plot.
A Soviet plot?
Yes.
15 million Russians dead, a Soviet plot?
They're tricky.
Teresa Russell is real good in this movie. She doesn't really look like Marilyn Monroe, but you forget about that after a moment or two because she has the moves down right, and she has the aura of Marilyn Monroe, I think. And Tony Curtis is also real good in the movie as Senator McCarthy. This movie probably bites off more than it can chew. By the end of the film, we've had a little bit too much of these 4 people and their problems and their conversations. But it is an interesting movie. It's funny at times, and I give it 3 stars. I'm Roger Ebert. All of the ominous signs are there. A tidal wave is approaching the coast of Japan, and a ship has disappeared off of all the radar screens, and a giant object has been seen in Tokyo Bay, and one scientist says to another, "Can it be Godzilla?" Well, this is one of many rhetorical questions in Godzilla 1985, and the answer is yes, it could be Godzilla.
Got him in my sights. Look at the size of that thing. I'm going in.
Again this time, Godzilla's trademark is knocking over buildings that are obviously built out of cardboard and paste.
There has to be a more effective way. Troops, aircraft, rockets, they were all used before. All they'll do is confuse and antagonize him further. He's looking for something, searching. If only we could figure out what it is before it's too late.
That's Raymond Burr, of course, and he and Godzilla are the only 2 survivors from the original 1956 movie, which became a camp classic because it was so bad. Well, this movie may or may not become a classic, but it's equally bad, and I think they shot all of Raymond Burr's scenes on the same day. He just stands there and he has one line after another. "You'll never stop Godzilla that way. That will never stop Godzilla. It will take more than that to stop Godzilla." I think they just set him down, did all of those lines, and they throw in a Raymond Burr scene every 5 minutes. It's typical of this movie. I give Godzilla 1985 1 star, and I'm Roger Ebert. The Sure Thing is a really sweet and warm-hearted teenage comedy about 2 kids who think they hate each other, but actually, slowly but surely, they fall in love with each other. The kids are played by John Cusack and Daphne Zuniga. They're students at a college out in the East, and they wind up hitchhiking together from coast to coast. Here's a scene in a motel along the road.
Mom, forgive me.
Swallow, swallow, swallow. Oh, danger, Will Robinson. Danger. Oh, well.
There are some fun times and there are some hard times on the road.
I have a credit card.
Credit cards work in a completely different kind of lock.
I don't think you understand. I have a credit card.
You have a credit card?
I have a credit card.
You have a credit card.
Oh. My dad told me specifically I can only use it in case of an emergency.
Well, maybe one will come up.
They're going to California for very different reasons. She is going to meet her fiancé, and he is going to meet a girl that his friend in California says is a guaranteed sure thing.
A sure thing, no questions asked, no strings attached.
No guilt involved.
A sure thing.
Yeah.
My whole life I never had a sure thing.
Probably never meet her anyway. I mean, she's gonna be gone in 24 hours.
Look, kid, you pay for the traffic tickets. I'll get you in the...
Yeah?
Yeah.
There are so many dumb teenagers in the teenage movies that are out today that the sure thing stands apart because it is about a relationship between two complicated and interesting people, and that's kind of unusual in the movies. I got to like these people along the way. I liked it when they fought, when they made up, especially when they got to know a little bit more about each other. The performances by John Cusack and Daphne Zuniga are really good. These are magnetic people. I like them. I like the movie too, and I give it 3.5 stars. I'm Roger Ebert. I was one of the lucky ones who was at the world premiere of E.T. in 1982 at the Cannes Film Festival, and I will never forget that night. It was one of the great movie-going experiences of my life. People had heard that the movie was good, but I don't think that any of us were really prepared for how good it really was and for how easily this ugly little extraterrestrial managed to capture our imaginations and to win our hearts.
You look great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You have to admit, he was kind of cute, right? But at the same time, you know, it was funny and he made you cry.
First time I really saw E.T., I screamed and ran out of the whole set.
Steven Spielberg's E.T. has been breaking records in theaters since 1982. 200 million people, almost the entire population of the United States, have seen E.T. struggle to phone home, and the film has taken in nearly $620 million at the worldwide box office. Some 200 E.T.-related toys and products have pulled in another $500 million, including $60 million worth of dolls, $58 million in plastic characters, and $15 million worth of books.
E.T. conveyed such a message of goodwill which really caught people's imagination that they want merchandise that they can associate with E.T. and possibly remind them of the goodwill that they felt from the film.
So far, there are no plans for a sequel, but you can bet on the fact that they're eventually going to cash in on this gold mine by making one. And the eventual release of E.T. on videotape is sure to break sales and rental records. So why is it that the wide-eyed creature from parts unknown has stolen so many hearts? I think it's because E.T. is the friend we all wanted to have when we were kids, and this movie is told very definitely from a child's point of view. I think we can identify with the child in E.T. and the child in ourselves, and of course kids don't even have to try to identify. It tells the story to them at a real direct level. So that's why it's one of the most magical pictures I've ever seen and most people have ever seen. I'm Roger Ebert. Breakfast Club tells the story of 5 teenage troublemakers who have to spend all day Saturday in detention. They get there at 8 o'clock in the morning, which is why they're called the Breakfast Club. The movie stars 5 of the most talented and promising newcomers in Hollywood today. Judd Nelson plays the tough teenage rebel. Amelia Estevez from Repo Man plays the jock, the high school wrestler. Molly Ringwald from 16 Candles plays the social butterfly. Ali Sheedy from War Games is the neurotic girl who doesn't talk to anyone. And Anthony Michael Hall, he was the nerd in 16 Candles. This time he plays the class brain.
You have problems.
Oh, I have problems.
You do everything everybody ever tells you to do. That is a problem.
Okay, fine. But I didn't dump my purse out on the couch and invite people into my problems.
When the day starts out, these kids have nothing in common, but after a while they begin to open up, to talk, and to share their secrets with each other.
What is it? Parents?
Yeah.
What did they do to you?
They ignore me.
They all agree on one thing: the teacher is the enemy.
Naked lady says.
Forgot my pencil.
What in God's name is going on in here? What was that ruckus?
What ruckus?
I was just in my office and I heard a ruckus. You make book on that, Missy. And you, I will not be made a fool of.
There's a lot of talk in this movie. It all takes place in one room, a giant library where various combinations of the kids pair off and go off in the corner and talk and confess and break down and fight and finally get to a little bit of the truth about themselves. It's kind of serious, it's sort of heavy going, but it's interesting to see a teenage movie that takes its characters seriously, and I give Breakfast Club 3 stars. I'm Roger Ebert.